Welcome back to episode number 37 of the Altered States Unplugged podcast. I am Kyle Strubing, one half of this dynamic duo. I am here with my wife partner. I'm already getting choked up. Jojo Strubing. Jojo, baby, how we doing today?
We are good. I giggle because we were talking about this episode this morning, and it is one that is a little more vulnerable and a little more personable. And Kyle was being so kind and like, how do you want to go about this? Should I be a little more gentle? And I told him, I was like, I might get choked up. So
yeah, no, I just had to clear my throat. My allergies are killing me. We've been talking for
starting with some laughs here.
Yeah.
But
no, it's good. But episode 37 goes over something that's personal to us, right? And it's titled, What Helped Us Quit Drinking, right? An honest conversation for the sober curious. And I think this is important, right? And I want to say this before, we are not doctors, right? This is going to be a lot of our personal experience. So we're going to share our personal experience, personal stories, not giving medical advice. If you are physically dependent on alcohol or drinking heavily, quitting suddenly can be dangerous, so be very careful with that. Some people need medical support to stop safely. And then SAMHSA has a free confidential 24/7 helpline for mental health or substance abuse support, and that's 1-800-662-HELP, and that's 1-800-662-HELP. You don't have to do this alone. Okay. And for some people, it's not safe to do it alone.
Yeah.
So keep that into consideration as we go through a lot of this. This is very important for us, very near and dear to us. So, we're here for it, right? Yeah. We're here to support. We're here to help because we've been through it.
yeah. Yeah. So today, our goal with this conversation is just to share our own experience. And many of you who have been in the studio and talked to us, we're very candid about the fact that we quit drinking alcohol. It was a huge inspiration behind the brand we have today and why we have the services we do, because they helped us so much in early sobriety and continue to do so today. But we wanted to go a little deeper and share a little glimpse of what that story looked like, because it wasn't all perfect. And, the journey of quitting drinking, what those early days looked like, because those first 30 days are the hardest. Yeah. And we get people that come in almost every day now that are starting their own journeys of, hey, I just wanted to quit drinking just to be healthy, or hey, I realized I did have a problem. There's so many people right now that are just that sober curious, just trying it out for health reasons. So we thought we'd give you some tips too on things that helped us in the journey. There's no perfect way to quit drinking, and there's lots of different methods, and we'll share some of the things that we did. But our hope is just to inspire you if this is something that you've been considering, or if you're already on your sober journey. I'm sure you can relate to a lot of this, and or maybe someone and it might be beneficial for that. So
if there's no shame or judgment or any of this in any of this, I know the alcoholism and the addiction, it's dark, right? And having, it can be very shameful. And I think a lot, being open and honest about it is only going to help. But also at the same time, I don't want to get into these war stories of us like, oh, I drank 17 beer. It is what it is to whoever it is, right? It's not about, for us, it wasn't about the alcohol. The alcohol was obviously an issue, but it was the things that we were masking using alcohol, whether that was stress, anxiety, things like that. So that was real. The alcohol and the drugs they're just a byproduct of it. And yes, there's physical addiction to it, and that's when that gets real dangerous. But there was always some reason why, right? And so it was important for us to get into that why. So I just wanted to say that I see a lot of, I see it at both spectrums, right? Some people they wear that on their badge, and it's like, I was a former alcoholic and all that, and that's great. and they've made it and and their whole life is centered around that. And if that works for you, that works for you. But then there's other people who want to be like, I think it's human nature to have this competition of like, oh, I drink an entire bottle of vodka and I'm nothing like you. And you couldn't have been addicted like I was or whatever. There's none of that. We're all dealing with our own stuff, and it's all about getting better and being honest. So we're here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just want to start this conversation off just kind of sharing our journey. So, for me, when I turned 21, it was the typical, let's go out and party, have fun. It was my typical college years of let's drink on the weekends, during the week, maybe let's go out to the partying thing. And over the years, I started my first sales job and we had happy hours and all of those things that, were considered normal somewhat.
Sure.
Were happening. And then I thought, it was just the normal part of life. This is what adults do. They drink and they go to happy hours. But I think throughout my 20s, as I got more and more into my 20s, I realized that a lot of my friends, they were leaving the happy hour and going home, going to sleep, where I was shutting down the bar or, going home and saying, Kyle, let's go have some more drinks. And, alcohol started becoming just more of a daily thing for me. And it was also, I was just one of those people that really never wanted the party to stop. It was never one drink. Like that was impossible for me and very weird. It was always more. And it took me a while to recognize like, hey, this might be a problem. There were, occasions of, not waking up and being where I needed to be but for the most part, I was able to get by, and it took a while for me to hit like a place of true rock bottom. Yeah. And I think that one of the biggest reasons, which I've identified today, and I didn't know at that time, of why I was drinking is because I've dealt with anxiety my whole life. Right. So I know when we talk about like that core issue, for me, drinking made my anxiety go away instantly. And it was such a good feeling to be able to talk freely, to not be nervous, to not be scared. And it did such a good job of it that it's what I wanted to do all the time. But it started getting so to a point where if I wasn't drinking alcohol, I was having severe anxiety, because that's all alcohol does, is it just masks it and it comes right back. In fact, it does make it worse. So, over the years, I would try to quit drinking and then start again. And, it took a couple of attempts, to be honest. But it would get worse and worse every time. And it would be, I would wake up just with this paralyzing anxiety. And I truly got to a point where I was waking up and having to drink to get through my day. And that is when I think we both had the realization, like, this is not normal. Like, I knew it wasn't normal, but it was the only way I knew how to get through my day. It was like my body was paralyzed unless I was drinking, and I was sick all the time. It was not good. I was not performing at my job. It got rough, and I know Kyle will speak to his experience with this. But it definitely hit a point where it was like, okay, this is either I'm going to get really sick, we're not going to be together anymore, and my life is going to fall apart, or I'm going to have to do something about this. And the hardest part for me to make that jump was the anxiety part of it, because my body had become so accustomed to needing alcohol to not have that anxiety that I was truly scared to not have the alcohol. It would be like pure panic attack if I was not drinking. So I did need to have medical help to detox and help do that. And it was the best thing I ever did. And by doing that, I was able to get clear-headed and start learning how to manage my anxiety and start learning how to feel normal in my own body again. When you drink for so long, that is something I mean, in all honesty, it took years for me to feel normal in my own body again. But, I'm going to pause there, and we'll talk kind of like what that first early sobriety looked like. But, I'm missing a lot of pieces here, I'm sure. But I just want to share that part of it, I guess, because I think for a lot of people, they may think like, oh, you were just drinking too much. And I think it's important for people to know that like anyone can get to that bad, right? Like and it's okay. Like it's a lot of people are like, oh, that's only a certain type of person or, that would do that, and I think it can have like alcoholism, issues with substance abuse can happen to anyone, right? So I just want to share that to help kind of take that shame out of it for some people. So it, maybe you recognize yourself in that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, yeah, it's, one thing that JoJo said that, kind of resonated with me as, we've gone through our stuff and all that was, and I've been to the therapies and stuff. And it's one time a doctor said to me, it was like, when you're under the influence, you're not growing, so then, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but like when you come out of that, like you didn't learn all those lessons, like you were numb to all these things. So you didn't grow,
Yeah.
So if you started drinking heavily at 21 for 10 years, you're, mentally, emotionally, a 21-year-old still in a 31-year-old's body, so there's a ton of like a huge speed up with that. My relationship with alcohol, we didn't have it in the house hardly at all. My dad would drink on the weekends, stuff like that. So it wasn't around, but when I got to college, it was, it was nuts, and then we got into the drugs and stuff like that in college and, got it together, whatever. And then it's weird. Cause like JoJo said, like you go in college where it's like, I mean, socially it's encouraged, right? You just get shit faced and you do this and you do that. Then you get out of college and you get these jobs and now you have money, right? And the parties just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to be, and it was just like all the time. And for me, it wasn't like a day-to-day thing. But I'll say this, like, I can't have just one drink.
Yeah.
Like I could probably have a glass of wine or whatever, but at this point, like, no. I think the last time I had a drink was at my brother's wedding over a year ago, and it was a glass of champagne for something like that. And for me, making those, it got to be to a point where, it was like, oh yes, I'm going to do, and why I don't do it now is like, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna have a beer for this occasion. On this occasion, this special occasion, we're going to have a shot or something like that. Well, then as we were drinking there was always an occasion. There was always a celebration. There was always a party. And everything was tied to alcohol. And that's where I was like, damn, this is a problem.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Now I'm crazy. So I'll show up to work. I could party till 4 a.m., sleep for 3 hours, get up and get through work. And as I got older, I'm 10 years older than JoJo. It wore on me a lot, and then with our, with us being together and the JoJo and there are struggles. It's not JoJo's alcohols. It's ours. We're married, so it's a family thing. And that's the other thing too, right? For somebody who's either married or with, or has a family member that they're close to who is going through these things, it's tough. It fucking wears on you too, man. Like, and you get this codependent thing, and that's why Al-Anon is real important. And you almost have to work a program as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think that's one of the things that was so amazing. Like, I know you're sharing, like, you quit drinking. And so when I went to treatment and went through my program and came out, I wasn't sure, like, is Kyle going to stop drinking? He didn't need medical help to stop drinking, but, you know, Kyle was so supportive and, you know, said, hey, I want to stop drinking too. I'm going to do that with you. And I just want to make it as a lifestyle choice. And it's been incredible. I know not everybody has that and not everybody needs that. You know, there's some people are totally fine with their spouse drinking and you see.
Well, I'll call it right. I mean, you're a piece. If your spouse is going through what you and I have gone through, flat out as a husband, you're a piece of shit if you continue to. I'm sorry, like it's just out of the question.
Maybe the first 30 days or something, but I think I think for everybody's
but like
different.
I mean, like look, but we've seen this. You know, you've gone through bouts where it's you're clean or whatever, and it's just that one fucking drink, man.
Yeah.
And then you spin it forward, and I'd sit there and I'd be like, because we were stupid, and you'd have you'd be doing good or whatever. It's like, yeah, let's get one or whatever, and then just spin it forward 6 weeks, and we're right back to where we were.
Yeah.
And it was that pattern. So for me, it's just like I don't know. For me, it's just out of the question, and then I'm not going to like hide it or like go out with the boys and be like, did you drink? Like, no, and you've been upfront, not like you can't or whatever. You're like, yeah, go for it. It's just, to me, it's kind of like, what are we doing?
Everyone has, I've talked to people who have spouses that drink and they all have different boundaries. Like, hey, just don't bring it in the house, but you're fine if you continue to drink. For everyone, it's going to look different, right? But I really appreciate how supportive you were in that. And I think it's been a huge benefit for you as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel like, though, and kind of what I say is like, another thing that resonated for me was like, I hit my quota.
Yeah.
I did it. I've done it. I've been to all the big clubs. I've been to festivals and this, that, and the other. And then it was like, okay, cool. We did all that, but why are we on a Tuesday night closing down the Frisco bar or whatever on in February? Like what is going on?
Yeah.
And that got to be, it was like, all right, well, this is just kind of stupid at this point. I had felt like I had really just kind of hit my quota.
Yeah.
And now it's, it would just be something else to have to deal with, honestly, at this point. So,
yeah. So let's talk about the honest truth of the first 30 days of sobriety. It is the hardest. The first 30 days is the most challenging. That's why they do encourage you to go to treatment and things so you can be in a safe environment where you can't run down to the liquor store. Yeah,
there's something chemically going on physiologically. It's not, at that point, it's not an emotional, it's not it's a physiological addiction.
Yeah. Now, not everybody needs that if you're just making a lifestyle choice, but it still can be challenging because you still have those triggers, right? Those things where I would normally just sit on the couch and grab that glass of wine and put on a show. And that show might trigger like, oh, I'm watching The Bachelor. I should be drinking wine.
Dude, we couldn't watch football for a year afterwards.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Like football, Joanne used to say, I like beer with my football and football with my beer. And I associated it with that. But I would also we would go to like Cowboys games and spend $1,000 on tickets and not remember the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and there was a huge learning curve for that. Even for myself was like, oh shit, like what do I do with my hands? Like, what do I do? Well, you just sit there and you watch the game and you enjoy it, dude. Like have a hot dog and
You're
a Coke.
learning everything new for the first time. Like doing 100%. It all again, doing everything sober for the first time it's different. It's weird. You're having emotions that you haven't felt in a long time. So all of those things are hard. And I really encourage you to find support system, find people who aren't drinking. There's some really cool apps out there where you can find like meetups with sober people. If you do need the support groups, like I did AA for 2 years and I loved it. Mm-hmm. I didn't need it forever. And I find, today I use other things, other groups and support groups, but for that time period, it was really helpful for me to be around people that were into the trenches with me. If you're just kind of sober curious, I think just finding people who don't drink that to do things with is really helpful.
Yeah, you gotta replace it with something.
Yeah, instead of going to the bar, you go play kickball or
go shooting. That's a thing that I did. And we whatever. One thing I'll say, and just a thought, and I'll ask you this, but do you think physical dependency aside, but what's harder, the first 30 or the next 30? Because I almost seem like everything is you're so defeated, you're so this, you're so that, and you're highly motivated in that first 30 days. And now you've got a couple wins and you've got a couple this.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
Second, that's maybe it's 90-90 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I noticed that like in the beginning was like, hell yeah, like let's go, like cool, I got this, no big deal. But then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they call that the pink cloud, right? You're like, you're on the pink cloud, like everything's great. I finally because the first 30 days the first 30 days is the hardest to stay sober because your body wants it and it's hard to not go drink. But you're right. Like that second, after that 90 days, that pink cloud starts to wear off where your body's starting to now remember how good it feels every day. So it's starting to forget how bad it felt, 30 days before when you did drink, and you start having those thoughts of, maybe I should just have a drink again, and that's where you learn the tools. Like you got to play the tape. What is this going to turn to? Where is this going to go? But yeah, that can be challenging. But
I know socially too, it gets to be a little. I feel like it's lonely too, right? Because everything, at least I know with us, like all of our friends were like we were just codependent. Like that's really what it was, and we had to totally redo our whole social circle.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're like, holy shit, like it's lonely.
Yeah.
It got to be lonely. So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah,
I felt
for sure. For sure. Yeah. I know we could probably talk on this episode for 2 hours. Yeah. It's a topic that we know a lot about. And if you ever want to come chat with us, please do. Please reach out. But what I really want to, close this last 10 minutes of this episode with is some tools for you. So, if you are wanting to ditch the alcohol, even just out of curiosity, there are some things that really helped me in those first early days that I want to kind of dive into. So the first one is, for me, I knew that my primary issue was anxiety. So I had to find ways to help myself ease that anxiety that was not alcohol. So obviously that's why I started trying everything under the sun. It's a big reason why we do float therapy. That's where floating came from. It was the first time that I ever felt calm, sober in like my life. And it was an amazing tool. So try float therapy, but I wasn't trying to put a plug in there. It was just about finding things to help you feel calmer. Right. So whether that's taking a bath in the evening, I found swimming could help me feel calm. Like just being in water helped me. Going on a short walk. Like my anxiety was so bad in those first 90 days. Like walking into a grocery store, I would have a panic attack. I'd have to go back out to the car, push myself to go back in. Like doing the simplest tasks were so hard because my body just was not used to it. It was, kept telling myself I wasn't safe when I was. And that's why we do what we do. But yeah, a sauna session, a massage, tea, reading, whatever those things are for you, find those things and give yourself the grace to do those things. Yeah. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. If you need to take an hour, take a day, like be easy on yourself. Like your body probably needs a little adjustment in time.
And we pivoted a lot of things. I know we got into like, because there's also like an oral fixation too, like of having something in your hand. So like we were crushing Topo Chico for a long time, the sparkling, the bubbles, instead of shower beers, they were shower topes, and like I've made, now like I crush Diet Cokes. Whereas, I'll drink 7 Diet Cokes while working out in the yard and watching football or whatever. Whereas before I would crush 7 beers. Yeah. So it's a lot of like replacing these things or whatever. And, I think we pivoted in addiction too. And now we were addicted to self-care and self-growth and work and stuff like that. Things that are now good for us. Like addiction is a personality too. Mm-hmm. It's there's that physical addiction, but it's a personality trait too. Mm-hmm. So like be cognizant of that and get addicted to yourself. Get addicted to good things. Yes. Find another purpose.
That's funny. Yeah, that sets you up nicely for number 2, which is kind of setting up your environment. You have to have tools in place. Like, if I'm going to sit down and watch football, and that's normally when I would, drink beer, Like, I'm going to have some mocktails on hand,
Yeah,
ready to
Daddy.
go. I'm going to have some snacks, you know. I know a lot of people will replace the alcohol with sugar because your body craves it so
Yeah.
much. I don't.
We did it a little bit. We got pretty big. Yeah.
Did a little too much ice
Too
cream
much
back
ice
then,
cream. But hey.
yeah, there's worse things. But yeah, there's some healthier sweets out there. And then, you know, sometimes you do need to change up your locations. Like maybe you shouldn't go to the bar to watch the football game and sit at home, or, you know, things like that. So just think about those things. Think about your environment, who you're around. Yeah. That's
who
a big
you're
one.
around.
Yeah. I had to let go of some friends and people that just, you know, didn't.
Dude, even the relationship with like me and my brother, like we'd see each other and we would just get, my brother doesn't drink either. With like it's been like 3-4 years now, hasn't it? Yeah, 3 years. And it was like, okay, well, what do we do at first? Like I'd see him and we would both get gassed up and we'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to tear it up, because we didn't live in the same city. When we got together, we would just party and drink.
Yeah.
And that was both, you know, we both did it. And it was crazy, like to just, and then redo that whole relationship, which is why, like, to me, that next 90 is super key, because you have to like relearn all that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Another one is move through your cravings. So I promise you, those cravings, they come on strong and you're like, ooh, I want to drink. And I promise you, if you just sit with it, call someone, go for a walk, it does go away. But you have to push through that tough moment. And like now, I don't even think about alcohol.
Dude, I do sometimes.
You do.
Sometimes I do. I'm not like, July 4th was like, oh yeah, like,
yeah,
you know, just a cold one or whatever. And then it passes. It's like, all right, cool. I'm just going to go, like, I'm busy. It's not going to happen anyways. We're so darn busy.
Yeah.
And then I just think, like, you know, like,
you have to
spin this forward 6 weeks, dude. Spin this forward 6 weeks.
Yeah, like you have to rewire your brain, because like if I associated alcohol with anything positive, I eventually was going to drink it.
Yeah.
Now to this day, I don't think there is absolutely anything positive for alcohol.
For you.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
for you. For sure.
most people, but,
right.
but
yeah,
yes,
right.
for me, like, you know, I look at it as, you know, like almost like a poison. Like that is going to send me down a spiral that is going to land me in, you know, jail or sick or in a hospital or, you know, dead.
Divorced.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right. like that is what I associate alcohol with. And therefore now when I see it, I am just like it almost disgusts me, which is for me, a great space to be in. Like, but I know early on you will have those things and those cravings, and taking some deep breaths, just moving your body, move through it. I promise they will go away. You
put a good note here that says interrupt the loop. That's a good thing. You see it coming and it's boom, just divert it, interrupt it, go do something.
Go distract yourself.
Go distract yourself.
Yeah, go. It does go away.
Or call someone.
Yeah.
Call someone.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Another thing is fix your evenings. Evenings tend to be the time where you have those cravings the most. It's for most people, that's typically when you drink the most. And
I worked hard. I deserve this, that type thing.
So give yourself some things to do. Take up a new hobby. You know, just sitting at home and getting bored can be one of the worst triggers, I find. Yeah.
Boredom, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And then tool 6 is talk to people. Dude, this is huge. This is so big. And I see this as a man, like, especially in this wellness game, in this wellness space. I get a ton of customers coming in who are like, oh, you know, they'll ask about the drinks and stuff like that. And you could tell right away. And then just having somebody, or, you know, just even having somebody saying, hey, dude, like if you get there or whatever. And I had a conversation with a guy like 3 days ago, you know, 33, same thing, got out of college. He's doing well, has a house in Capel, Tesla, whole nine. On the outside, it looks great. But he's just like, you know, I think he was like 60 days. You know, I don't want to share this guy's business. I obviously won't name his name, but like 60 days. And he was just like, I don't, he's had to get rid of all of his friends and stuff like that. And I was like, bro, if you need if you just need to get out,
Yeah.
like come here and we'll shoot the shit for 5 minutes. I'll give you somewhere to go.
Yeah.
You can talk about whatever. And
That's
having that resource is huge because
Yeah.
there's such a stigma towards it,
Yeah.
right? Of like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. And there is this, and we talked about this, there's this shame to it, but there's no shame.
Yeah.
Shame is not asking for help.
Yeah. Come to Altered States.
Yeah.
Come hang out.
Hang out, have some kombucha, chill, do your thing. Talk. You don't even need to buy anything. Just talk. No, just sit there and whatever, and just it's a safe space for sure. But you have to rebuild that network. Yeah. You have to.
Yeah. Love it. The next tool is learn your triggers. So you will have those. So if you know a certain place, a certain thing, a certain food, for everyone it's different. Triggers that, learn them, learn how, and then kind of like have those tools ready to go when you go through them, have those breathing techniques ready. Have those people on board to call. Yeah. But it's totally okay to avoid those things in the beginning, if needed.
It's why I'm not a big sushi guy. I know that sounds random, but you're always like, let's go for sushi. Well, I think of sushi, I think of 7 vodka sodas with it. It's just part of the experience.
That's funny.
I know. It's like,
Now I know why I never get
Yeah,
sushi.
I'm just not a huge fan because I just think because it just sets up for that. You're little this,
sake.
little that, smaller portions and all that stuff. So but now you and I could go up and sit a bit. A couple weekends ago sat at Village
we go to
Burger.
bars now, and
We don't go to bars. When we're out getting,
you know what I mean. We'll sit at a bar.
We're at a restaurant and it's we will sit at a bar and have a Diet Coke, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're not going. You and I are not going to bars anymore. Yes.
All right. Another one is have an emergency plan. So this was really big for me. So there were events where I knew there was going to be alcohol around, right? Like somebody was getting married, and I knew there was going to be alcohol. So for me, it's really important to have a plan. Like I would talk to Kyle, hey, I'm not going to be drinking. So if I'm around it and it gets hard, know that I might just jet back to the hotel. Don't be offended, right? We'd have those conversations. And there were times where I just had to, hey, I had fun. I said hi to everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I'm out of here. That's getting a little wild,
Heck yeah.
And that's totally okay. But you have to think of that plan through and have that plan in place. I think that also having I know I would think before the wedding or something what was I going to order? I know that's so cheesy, but okay, I'm going to order, this fun drink. So I have something to drink and just, I can look cool.
Yeah.
Not cool, but I wanted to feel like everyone else, right?
System, yeah.
And something to look forward to, right? Those of you planning a wedding, I love a good mocktail on the menu. So, think about us sober people.
At 2026, you should have one, yeah.
Yes. But that can be really helpful just to have a plan and never get stuck somewhere that you don't want to be. Sure. Another one is rebuild that self-trust. I think this is a really big one. Is I still to this day at times have so much shame. I look back at the places I worked at those times or the person I was, people I was around, and I just carry so much shame. Oh my gosh, I bet these people don't like me anymore. I bet they don't want to talk to me now. And I just assume the worst. And sometimes I have conversations with some of these people that I've crossed paths again, and they didn't even think anything of it. I haven't even been on their mind. They don't think about me. So just give yourself some grace, give yourself some credit. I promise you things will get better. You can always work through things with people if you do want them in your life. And if you don't, who cares, right? Right?
Yeah.
It is alcohol issues and substance abuse are a medical condition. And I am a true believer of that. So, don't ever look at it like you had a personality flaw or you're a bad person because you just aren't. And
but you're also not when you're under the influence, big thing with you was when you came out of all that, it was I got my girlfriend back. I got my wife back. When you were going through that, that was not, and I was not a big believer of alcoholism and anxiety, like whatever, like, but you see that and it's 100% real. And that's, I almost look at it as like, especially with JoJo, like wild shit would happen, but it was like, that's not her,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, like there's still some resentments or whatever. I'm not perfect here, but I also, like, to me, it's like, that wasn't her, that was the alcohol. So if you can separate yourself and obviously take, one of the steps is making amends and take responsibility, but you don't have to eat that forever, and it's important to, it's important to really give yourself some grace because it was an addiction. It was a sickness. You wouldn't give someone, you said this to me, like you wouldn't treat somebody that had cancer like this.
And it is amazing what you can accomplish in sobriety. We've built an entire brand. We have, we bought a house, we got married, we've done so many things that I know would not have been possible if we were still drinking. And I promise you, if you were in the suck right now of, thinking about getting sober or early sobriety, I promise you it does get better. Just push through, give it a try. Even, if you're just curious about it, you might be surprised by how amazing life is when you're sober. So I hope this episode was helpful. We obviously could talk about this forever. And if you want to reach out, if you're going through something, DM us. We're here to be a support system for you. We built Altered States to be a space where you can come and feel better. We built these tools like float therapy, sauna, cold plunge, because they're all things that we used in sobriety that helped me with my anxiety so much. I still use them all to this day. And we're really passionate about the recovery community. So
yes, we'll see you on the next one, guys.
Yep. Thanks. And we hope you have a great day.